2 months ago, I got a bit of a surprise when I uncovered these tiles. And this week, I'm going to be removing all of the earth from this section. And I've got no idea what I'm going to find. There are a couple of reasons for doing this work now, and the first one relates to work that I'll be doing on this section of the house in a few weeks' time, because I need to remove all of the earth from this section to be sure as to the depth of this wall and what the quality of the wall is like down below. And the second reason for doing the work is that in the future I would like all of the area in front of the house to be at quite a similar level to where the tiles are now, which means removing about another 50 centimeters from all of that surface there and the area behind. Somewhat naively, I thought that this section was going to be a little bit easier, but I hadn't reckoned that underneath these concrete pavers there would be a pretty thick layer of concrete with a bunch of stones mixed into it. So it ended up being pretty hard work and would have been one section where the jackhammer would have been super useful. In this section, the one area that I'm really interested in is around here where there is an old opening, which as it currently stands with the ground at this level is probably only less than a half height. So I'm really interested to see where is the base of this. Was this once a doorway that people could walk through? Is it some sort of animal doorway? I'll only find out by digging this part out, which I think I'll leave for doing with the jackhammer. Now I'm going to get on with just clearing off these pavers, or trying to clear off these pavers. The first part of here was quite easy to clear, and the second part not quite so easy. But I'm there now, and I'm going to finish for the day and go and collect the jackhammer, get back tomorrow and start early. In this section, the one part I'm really looking forward to finding out about is what goes on here, because before I found the tiles over there, it hadn't ever really occurred to me that the front door might not be at ground level. So below here could be some steps, or it could be nothing, but I'll find out tomorrow. It's an early start for a big day of work, which by the end of it will hopefully see a pretty dramatic transformation of this whole space with the help of the jackhammer, the shovel and the wheelbarrow. First up, I'm going to be clearing this section here so that I've got a smooth path for the wheelbarrow. Whew. That's a pretty long morning of work, reasonably successful, a little bit slower than I would hope. As soon as you start hitting stones and rocks, it's a lot harder to shift stuff. But when you're just moving the earth, it's much easier. I suspect that this bit below me is the remnants of a bit of a wall, so that might prove difficult as well. But I'm going to leave that to after lunch because I'm going to have a break now while the sun has just come out and then get back on it as soon as possible. I thought I'd have a bit of a break from that area over there and just do a little bit in this area where I want to take this top off to see what's underneath it and see if there are any old steps there. But I also want to keep this drainage tube for a few more weeks. Therefore, I'm going to excavate around it, and then afterwards I'm actually going to try and probably cover it up again. And having taken the earth away from here, I'll then be putting quite a lot of it back so that I can build a ramp for the wheelbarrow so that I can get in and out of the house easily. I'm getting a little bit tired and I'm going to do a little bit more work, but before I do that I just want to make sure I can get the generator back inside over that temporary ramp. I don't know what I was worried about. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be. It gives me a good hour now then in which to tidy up this earth and finish off for today and then get ready for coming back tomorrow. Yesterday was pretty hard work and everything is feeling a bit sore this morning. The bad news is that I've still got a lot to do. The good news is that I'm up for it. First up, I'm going to make a ramp here so that I can clear out this section. Finding a few things in here, but I wasn't expecting to find a root of fennel quite this big. Last week I found a bit of paper that I was planning on giving you an update on this week. It's looking pretty interesting, but it's not quite ready for inclusion in this video. So I'm going to be telling its story in a one-off midweek special that I'll be sharing with you in 4 days' time. I hope that's okay, and sorry for the delay. There was quite a lot of rain last night, so the ground's going to be even heavier, but I'm going to push hard and see how much I can get done today. That's a pretty good morning of work. Even though it's a very hard slog, it's an absolute pleasure to be outside on a beautiful warm day. I finished taking a level off here, and now I'm going to have a bit of a break, and then I'm going to get back on it and take the next level off in that corner and then work my way through there. This is not quite what I was expecting to find, but quite interesting nonetheless. I've got about 90 minutes probably left where I can do some work, so I'm just going to try and clear out this last bit to make sure I know what sort of structure might be beneath here and how deep this wall is, and then I'll see what it all looks like. I've got no idea what this was, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a bath. It's been another long day with a lot of work, and I have shifted an awful lot of earth, but I've also made the house fairly inaccessible. So I need to come back tomorrow and try to work out how I can make it slightly easier to get in the door and to move stuff around this area here. Coming to the end of the week, and I now need to decide what work I try and finish off now and what work I leave for another time. I've still got a little bit of work to do to understand exactly what goes on under here. And before I finish the work for this week, I need to make the door a little more accessible. So I will need to be shifting some earth around and creating some sort of ramp so that I can get things in and out more easily. So first up today, I'm just going to do a little bit of excavation here, just to understand a little bit better if there are any structures underneath. From the top of this big stone here, I thought it might have been some sort of paving stone, which might have made sense for connecting here. But I'm actually finding a lot of pottery shards underneath. So I'm guessing it's just used for infill. And I'm guessing also that all this section up until the old drainage channel there is probably just infill, which will save me a bit of work. Anyway, now I'm just going to take this big stone out and then tidy up a little bit here. So I think I've finished my tidying up in here. I don't think there's any need to excavate any more from this area. It looks to me like it was all just filled in with large rocks and a lot of broken crockery, most of which I've tried to put to one side as I've found, and I've now put into my little collection here. I think it's fair to say that nothing that I've put to one side is particularly amazing, but together it's quite an interesting collection of items. It's a few bowls, a bottle, a slightly bigger jar, and the odd pot top, and then one little handle of some sort of drinking vessel. So none of it particularly amazing, but I'll put it to one side and work out what I might do with it. And now, after the hours of work excavating this area, I'm going to fill in this section so that I can build the ramp and I can carry on using this as a door without it being an obstacle course. Ramp done. It obviously feels like a pretty major step backwards after all my work excavating, but I've just put mostly soil back in there, so when the time comes I should be able to take it out pretty easily. And the truth is that I had to put something in there so that I can get stuff in and out of the house. Now I'm going to do a couple more bits of tidying up and then I should be able to call it a day. What's crazy about this section here is that underneath my feet and the line here is a wall. And when I first bought the house, everything to the left here was about 2 meters below the level of the wall. And all of this material is stuff that's come out of the house or now from in front of the house. And in the future, I'm hoping that it'll extend a good deal further forward and give me an amazing patio in front of the house. But I'll come on to that at a much later date. At the start of the week, I was stood here, not sure what I was going to find as I dug out this area. And although it now looks quite similar to how it did a few days ago, it has changed quite dramatically over the last few days. And I have discovered a few things that were a bit surprising, including this remnants of what looks like a wall here. So while a lot of this area now doesn't look that dramatically different to how it did at the start of the week, I have at least achieved 2 of my main objectives in this area, And the first one was to understand what sort of structures might be underneath this front door. And then the second one was to understand what sort of opening this might have been and how deep this wall goes, both of which I need to understand so that when I plan my work around this area, I know what I'm going to be dealing with. At times, the work I've been doing this week has been genuinely exhausting, and I've felt a little bit broken at times, but it has been a lot of fun, and it's been beautiful to be outside in the warm weather, albeit it rained in the middle of the week. And it's been really interesting to find things that I wasn't expecting, not least this section here. And I'm going to give that some thought. And I think that what I'm going to do is next week I'll do a video of everything that I know or think I know about the history of the house, and I'll try and include an explanation of what this section here might have been. And now I think I'm just going to try and do one final tidy up of this area here.